Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today for the pre-Shavuot Shiur. This year, we are 3,335 years since the giving of the Torah at the foot of Mount Sinai. And what a great opportunity to get together this year, men, women, and children, at Croxdale and Yavne, together with the chief rabbi. We don't want to miss it. There will be Shiurim, Tikkun Leil, pre-Tikkun Leil at Yavne, services with the chief rabbi, Friday night and Yom Tov meal together with the chief rabbi. And thank you to all those who have been working tirelessly in order to put together these unprecedented programs for the sake of the community. Thank you, Rabbi Czitron, for giving me this opportunity to deliver this pre-Shavuot Shiur, a virtual Shiur to all our members. We will just begin with the value of learning Torah in general, and then we'll continue and learn how it affects the learning of Shavuot in particular. The Mishnah in the beginning of Masechet Pe'ah, Chapter 1, Mishnah 1, and the Mishnah says, Elu devarim she'ein la'im shi'ur. These are the things that have no measure. Ha'pe'ah ve'abikurim ve'areayon. Pe'ah, the corner of the field which while harvesting must be left for the poor. Ve'habikurim, which is one of the main offerings that we used to do when the temple was standing, the first fruits that must be brought to the temple and given by to the Kohen, ve'hareayon, the mitzvah that was brought to also to Beit HaMikdash on the during the 3 foot festivals, and gemilut chasadim, acts of kindness, ve'talmud Torah, and the study of Torah. And later on, the Mishnah says, ve'talmud Torah keneged kulam. Study of Torah is beyond and above all the other mitzvot. And this year in Shavuot, when we know of the different minhagim and the different names of Shavuot, I thought to myself that it will be a great opportunity to learn together, to look at the text and to learn together why those names were given to Shavuot, and why for thousands of years we keep those customs until this day. So Shavuot, which literally means the festival of weeks, is a festival celebrating the summer of the summer grain harvest and the day the Jewish people received the Torah. The festival takes place 7 weeks after Pesach, on the 6th and the 7th of the Hebrew month of Sivan. On Shavuot, some have the minhag of learning all night to honor the revelation at Sinai. Other Shavuot traditions include reading the book of Ruth, decorating the shul with greenery, and, of course, how can we forget the cheesecakes and dairy food. We also we should learn, we should understand why we do these things and what the mekorot, the sources for these minagim. Interestingly enough, Shavuot is never mentioned in the Torah as a festival that commemorates the giving of the Torah. But here are some of sources that kind of frame it as a harvest festival. So let's begin with Shemot chapter 23, Pasuk 16. And the Torah says, first time when the Torah mentions, after Exodus, the parasha, the sedra of the festivals. And it starts with Chag HaKatzir, Bikurei Ma'asecha, Asher Tizra Basadeh. And the festival of the harvest, of the first fruits of your work, of what you saw in the field. And second time in the Torah it's mentioned in Bamidbar. The Torah says, "Uveyom habikurim behakrivchem mincha chadasha la'Hashem bishvuotechem." On the day of the first fruits, your festival of weeks, when you bring an offering of new grain to Hashem, Mikra Kodesh Yelachem, you shall observe a sacred occasion. Kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu, you should not work at your avodah, at your occupations. Third time mentioned in the Torah, not only in Shemot, not only in Bamidbar, but also in Dvarim, Deuteronomy 26, Pasuk Bet. Velakachta mireshit kol pri ha'adama. Hashem says what exactly we need to do on Shavuot. Velakachta, you shall take mireshit kol pri ha'adama, some of every first fruit of the soil. Asher tavim me'artzecha, which you harvest from the land. Asher Hashem Elokecha noten lach, the land that Hashem, the Lord your God, is giving you. V'samta batene, you shall put in a basket. Such it coming in the smallest details. How do we put the first fruits? How do we put the first grains? In a basket. V'alachta el hamakom, and you shall go to the place. Asher yivchar Hashem Elokecha leshaken shemo sham, the place where Hashem, your God, will choose to establish His name. So it's really interesting that within those psukim, we can learn that Shavuot has got three names: Chag HaShavuot, the festival of weeks; Chag HaKatzir, the festival of harvest; Chag HaBikurim, and the festival of the first fruits. Later on, there's also we should learn together. Yeah, we should learn together also two more sources, interesting sources of why do we actually why exactly in Shavuot we learn Torah, and why, okay, we received the Torah, but what's the value of the Torah? What do we try to achieve? One night. If we learn one night, does it mean that we have a strong connection? How Shavuot symbolizes our strong connection with the Torah? I would like to share with you a fascinating Midrash. And the Midrash says, and the Midrash is actually is based on the first pasuk that we're going to read in this coming Shabbat, Parashat Bamidbar. The book of Numbers, the book of Bamidbar, starts with the words, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe b'midbar Sinai. Hashem said to Moshe in the Midbar, in the desert of Sinai. And the Midrash asks, Lama b'midbar Sinai? Why is it so important to mention here that Hashem spoke to Moshe in the Midbar of Sinai? And the Gemara and the Midrash continues, Mikan shanu chachamim. From here, our sages have learned. Bishlosha dvarim nitna Torah. The Torah was given through three things. Be'esh is the first one. Uvemayim is the second thing that the Torah was given through, and the third thing is Bamidbar. And the Midrash proves every single element and its connection to the Torah. And the Midrash continues, Be'esh minayin, how do you know that the Torah was given through fire? As it says in before the episode of giving the Torah, V'har Sinai ashan kulo, and Har Sinai was filled with smoke. And of course, the smoke came with the fire, the same fire that surrounded the Torah and Moshe Rabbeinu when he received the Torah. And the Midrash continues, B'mayim minayin, how do we know that the Torah was given through water? And the Gemara and the Midrash continues, as it says, Kol Hashem b'mayim, Hashem's voice is in the water. And of course, Hashem's voice was sounded in Sinai. And Bamidbar Minayin, how do we know that the Torah was given through the desert? And it's also a pasuk in Shoftim. In our Sedra, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe b'midbar Sinai. Hashem spoke to Moshe b'midbar Sinai. What did he say to Moshe? He gave Moshe, in that event, he gave him the Torah. V'lama nitna b'shlosha dvarim elalu? Why was the Torah given through these three things? And the Midrash continues, Elama elu chinam lekol ba'ei ha'olam, kach divrei Torah chinam hem. And as fire, water, and wilderness, and midbar are free to all the inhabitants of the world, kach divrei Torah, similarly, the Torah, the words of the Torah, are free to all the inhabitants of the world. How do we know that the Torah is free? The Torah is available and accessible to all people in the world? Because it says in Isaiah, Hoi kol tzameh lechu lamayim. It says, Ho, all those who are thirsty, come to the water. Even if you have no money, the pasuk continues. And another explanation, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe b'midbar Sinai, and God spoke to Moshe in the Sinai wilderness. Anyone, and the Midrash continues, Ela kol mi she'ino oseh atzmo kamidbar. The second explanation is anyone who does not make themselves ownerless like the wilderness cannot acquire the wisdom of the Torah. Therefore it says, B'midbar Sinai, the end of the Midrash. And it's extraordinary because sometimes we feel like the Torah is in heaven, like the Torah is beyond our abilities. And the Midrash tells us, no, the Torah is available. And there's so many forms, especially nowadays. Podcasts, websites, WhatsApp videos. And this Shiur is an example of how the Torah can be so much available for everyone. I would like to share with you a second Midrash, a fundamental Midrash of which speaking about the event of giving the Torah. The Talmud in Shabbat, Daf Peichet 88a, and the Gemara says, the Gemara refers to the pasuk Vayityatzvu betachtit ha'ar, and the Gemara cites another interpretations to the topic of the revelation at Sinai. And the Torah says, Vayityatzvu betachtit ha'ar, and Moshe, the pasuk starts a little bit earlier, V'Moshe nigash el Elokim, and Moshe brought forth to Hashem and to the people out of the camp of meeting, Mechutz L'Ohel Moed, and they stood at the foot of the mountain, betachtit ha'ar, at the bottom, lowermost part of the mountain. Amar Rav Avdimi, Rabbi Avdimi said, Melamed, we learn from here, why was it so important for the Torah to mention explicitly where they were standing, and what does it come to teach us? That they were standing at the lowermost part of the mountain? Melamed shekafa akadosh baruch hu aleim et ha'ar kegigit. We learn from here that Hashem, when they stood over there next to the mountain, that the Jewish people actually stood beneath the mountain. And the verse teaches that Hashem kafa aleim ha'ar kegigit. Hashem basically overturned the mountain above the Israelites like a tub, kikdeira, kegigit. ואמר להם, אם אתם מקבלים את התורה, if you would like to receive the Torah, מוטב, that's fine. ואם לאו, but if you disagree to receive the Torah, שם תהא קבורתכם. There will be your burial. So the Torah apparently was we were forced to receive the Torah. Do we? Is that how we keep the Torah, in a way that we're forced to receive the Torah? We'll find out later. Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov, mikan, we'll learn from here, Moda Rabba Leoraita. This is a substantial caveat to the obligation to fulfill the Torah. Because the Jewish people can claim that they were forced into accepting the Torah. And it is therefore not binding. Rava says no. Afal pichen, nevertheless, Hadur kiblua b'mei Achashverosh. They again accepted it willingly in the time of Achashverosh. How do we know that they accepted it in the time of Achashverosh? Because it says in the book of Esther, Keimu v'kiblu alehem haYehudim. The Jews ordained and took upon themselves and upon their seed and upon all such as joined themselves unto them. That's the pasuk in Esther. And he taught that the Jews ordained. Why did it say double wording, double language of the ordained, what they accepted, what they took upon themselves? So the Gemara explained that the Jews ordained what they had already taken upon themselves through the event of Mount Sinai. So for us, it's an opportunity to think of, how do I connect myself to the Torah? It's true that sometimes we feel like we're forced and we have to do certain things. But since we received the Torah, we have decided to receive the Torah willingly. Every time when we learn the Torah, we have those both parts. The first part, that Hashem had to do it, because the Israelites just entered into the covenant of Judaism, into the covenant with Him, with Hashem, through receiving the Torah. But at the same time, the joy of learning the Torah and the ability to engage and to feel an integral part of the Torah is tremendous. And therefore, we have those two parts playing together as a puzzle and connected through our learning of the Torah. Now we'll discuss some other customs, as eating cheesecake or dairy food, and why do we actually do it? So if we look at the Mishnah Berurah says in Siman 494, the Mishnah Berurah says about the custom to eat ma'achalei chalav, dairy foods, tam nachon leze, a correct reason for this, ki be'et she'amdu al Har Sinai, when Bnei Israel stood at Har Sinai, v'kiblu Torah, and accepted the Torah, v'yardu min hahar leveitam, and they went down from the mountain to their homes. Lo matz'u ma le'echol, they could not find anything to eat. Why? Because immediately after accepting the Torah, they learned for the first time what treif is, what kosher food is, what non-kosher food is, and how to prepare for kosher food, and they couldn't eat what they used to eat, meat or chicken. And therefore, they had to, obviously, to kasher all their utensils, and they didn't have the possibility and the time and the capacity to do that. And therefore, they ate dairy foods. So therefore, in order to commemorate this event that they couldn't eat meat, only dairy foods, we're still maintaining to this day the minhag to eat dairy food. And the second reason is, which is written in the Shulchan Aruch, v'noagim bechol makom, we have a custom everywhere, le'echol ma'achalei chalav, to eat dairy food on the biyom harishon shel Shavuot, on the first day of Shavuot, v'nireh li atam, says the Shulchan Aruch. And it seems to me that the reason is, shukmo shne atavshilim shelokchim beleil Pesach. Since on Eve, Pesach Eve, we take two portions, two foods, to commemorate the two korbanot, the two offerings, therefore, we also do the same thing when we eat on Shavuot dairy food. So actually the minhag, which which spread in many of the communities, is to eat the starter dairy, wait, some wait 10 minutes and wash the mouth, some wait 30 minutes, and then they eat ma'achalei chalav, ma'achalei basar, meaty foods. I would like to take again this opportunity to wish you a happy Shavuot, and may we all take these moments of Shavuot for the rest of the year, to take every single opportunity that we can learn, that we can contribute in learning, and we can get together. Could be 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, but those 5 minutes add up to a great asset to ourselves and to our families. Chag Sameach.